Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Okada, and we're starting back off inside our house with the nice new shiny windows and doors. Look, we even put a door in for going to the garage, even though we don't have a car in it yet. But today isn't going to be about the house. You know, when we started in this area, I mentioned it wasn't picked because it was resource dense. It was picked because it was a pretty area. And when it comes to copper, if we do a little scan here, for copper we see, the one right here. And wait for it. 1,000 meters away. So we check on our map, you can see they're just miles and miles away. And that's just not good for casual use. So we have to be frugal with our copper usage. This one pure node is not going to do us much. And that's kind of a bad thing because, right now we're using copper for our alternate recipe for reinforced plate using stitched plate, which is a fantastic recipe. But it requires copper products where normally it wouldn't, and that's something we want to continue to do. Our alternate recipe for rotors, which we're not using, also uses copper. It uses copper sheeting. And we can't go hog wild on using all those very nice alternate recipes if we only have one node. We still need copper wire for personal use. We need cable. So we're going to have to really consider what it means to build our copper out here because we're not really ramping it up. We ramped up on all the iron stuff, but it's still going to be just, like 4 smelters for copper. So we're not going to do a gigantic building for copper. We're going to probably put our smelters back here somewhere because, one of our smelters is our chimney. And then we'll put a building somewhere to do, some copper, but we're not going to get a major ramp up of it. So let's get out of here, start placing the copper stuff, and that way we can clean up this area, and then we'll look into beautifying these buildings. All right, so behind the house, I think, is where we're going to stuff the smelter building. It's not going to be very large, and to be honest, I almost considered stacking it to make it not as wide. My concern here is that, I'll have to cut down this tree, and the chainsaw has a radius, and I don't want it to take down that big tree. We'll have to take this one down here as well, not so worried about that one. I think we can edge out of not taking that one down, because I don't want to take down our big trees around our house. Our house is pretty. It's basic, but it's our home. So I think first we do is we try to cut down a tree without cutting down a tree. And maybe we can... So when you use a chainsaw, it doesn't cut these down automatically. It'll leave them if it's in the radius. I mean, if I try to cut it down, then I'm pretty sure it'll cut it down. But so I'm going to try to cut this down right here, hoping that that tree's in the radius. I'm not so confident it is. But beyond that, I don't think I can get any closer without, risking that. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what, let's do this. This should do it. Yeah, let's try this. No! No, it took down the big... What? No. All right, let's try that again. I reloaded the last save. I want that tree to survive. We'll experiment here with the radius. I want that one to go. I don't want that one to go. All right, there it's gone. Okay. Success. Let's take this out of hand. There we go. Unfortunately, this tree is going to have to go as well, but that's okay. It's not next to a gigantic tree. This is going to be very basic, so we're just not going to spend any time on it. Just going to slap down 3 smelters, and this belt will just split and come into here to feed these 3 and feed the one that is our smoking chimney. And we'll smelt them all. And I think that we're going to maybe route them back behind those buildings and do some copper manufacturing back there. I'm gonna double check this terrain, but I think that's what we're going to do, and that way we keep all of our basic level outputs kind of clustered, so that we can route them easier to assemblers. So I'm going to build this up real quick. There's no reason to even do a time lapse on this. All right, I think we're about done with the building. It is very basic and it's very cramped. Let's just start by. But you know, we're stashing it behind our house, and so I want it to be unobtrusive. And just repositioning here because I wanted some symmetry, so I wanted the things to come out. But so it is a very basic, just 4 smelters. Well, it's 3 smelters and the one over there, right? So that's 120 copper per minute. A nice basic layout. Put a concrete flooring on it and roof. I'm not going to do a big factory type thing on it. Again, I want it to be a small, kind of unassuming building. I did kind of cheat a little bit in the sense that I went out to the internet and I found the color code for copper so that we could repaint this in an appropriate copper color. I'm going to show you here the is B87333. I found a website that had those colors and their codes, so I plugged it in, and that looks pretty copper to me. So I think it's pretty good. We might repaint the windows a different color. I haven't given a full thought, but our primary here is going to be painting all of it this copper color, signify what building it is. But I'll get back to deciding on the windows and whatnot here a little bit after. I want to show you what we're going to do now that we have them. You know, we have the 3 inside there and the 1 inside our house, and they're going to come out and they're going to go across the way. Jump down here. We're going to start tearing all this stuff down. I shut it all down so they could kind of work their way out. We're going to tear them all down soon. But we're going to go back behind all of this stuff. It's going to bridge over the little river there because we want to kind of keep this area pristine. It's pretty looking. And I threw down some platforms up here. And this is where we're going to do our constructor setup. The copper will come in the side somewhere. It'll just go along and divide into the various machines, and then it'll come out the other side, and that's going to leave us, you know, some nice space up there to where we can maybe do some assembler buildings. I think this is going to work out pretty well. 120 copper doesn't go far, so we're just going to get what we can out of it, and we'll have to manage our alternate recipes accordingly to not overutilize our copper. So let's get to building this and drawing the conveyor belts across as cleanly as we can to supply this building. Now that ain't a half bad looking building, if I do say so myself. Our limited amount of copper meant I had to make it a hybrid building. Something I'm not a huge fan of doing, but you have to adapt to your needs. And yeah, I think this is gonna work out real well for us. Of course, again, we'll probably have to expand it in the future, and when that happens, we'll probably have to also move around what is building on what. But let's give a quick tour, and then let's fire it all up. Of course, here's the final destination of everything. And all three different products, copper products, should be coming down these different lifts. And we'll have copper sheeting, copper wire, and cable. And let me show you how this is all going to come down. So all the ingots are going to come in through here and go up. On the second floor, this will be the copper wire. And so there are 4 machines dedicated to copper wire because there are 15 per minute. So that will be 60 per minute copper ingot used. And we only have 120 to work with, so that's half of it. It's quite scarce for us at the moment. And what's going to happen here is that the first 2 of them will merge and they'll go back downstairs into the first bin. The second 2 of them will merge, wrap around the room, and go up to the 3rd floor. And there's, of course, the lift going up to the 3rd floor for the other half of the copper ingots. I'll get up to the 3rd floor. Copper ingots will come in and it will hit all 3 of these, 1, 2, and 3, for the copper sheeting because they use 20 apiece. So all 3 of them will be the other 60 copper ingots. And that last one coming up in the corner, this will be 60 copper wire per minute, going into 1 cable machine, using 60 copper, producing 30 wire, which will go downstairs and pass all the way down to the 1st floor. So that's going to be it for this building, and I went with a little different skylight. It'll be nice once we actually have glass floors and glass ceilings, but I wanted a little bit different style, and that's what we went with. And for the colors, we have the copper and the kind of a old brick red. Kind of fished for that color for a while. It's kind of harder to tell in the shadows, but that's what it is. Okay, so let's fire it all up. Oh, we need one of these. Thank you. All right, plug this in to here. That's going to get this going. All right, copper ingots are flowing. You should see them coming into this window here soon from the other smelter, but we already know that one's hooked up. So let's go outside and let's follow them on their journey. All right, it's successfully made it here. They should start splitting and going up. Hopefully all of these are connected properly. Excellent, going up both sides. All right, all the copper wire seems to be going. Copper's arriving to the top floor. Should see copper sheeting coming out of these 3 machines, and then there goes a cable on the final one. Excellent. It'll take a little bit for these to all get green because, you know, all the copper ingots have to get here and get, you know, kind of backed up in the early machines. Looks like everything's working. We'll just go back to the bottom floor and make sure everything's actually arriving where it belongs. We have things on the line. So all 3 things that we need are all coming out here. That means it's all working. Oh, it's always so good when things work on the first shot, you know? Excellent. Okay. Now let's go clean up a yard. I think the best vantage point to see this is from our house. This has really been in our face the whole time. So of course we turned that around. We don't need these up and down conveyors any longer because we went with this little lift setup. Don't want to accidentally take away the power. Should we get all the little poles in here? Give me a second. I'm going to clear out the destination of this stuff so it drains out. All right, there goes the last of it. Excellent. So this does mean that our assemblers are offline, or at least the ones that use copper products. But they're backed up anyway, so that's not a big deal. And you know, that's part of the process, right? The next thing is going to be to start putting assemblers somewhere else. That's the final phase for the most part of cleaning up this yard. And running around and figuring out which poles aren't attached to anything anymore. What all we can get rid of. So you can see, as you start getting rid of them, we start having these poles that are, you know, they're not doing anything. Let's head back to the house and see what our view of this looks like now. Oh yeah. Oh, all that space all cleaned up. Nice and uncluttered. We can actually see our little pond over here now. Yeah, all that's left is the limestone. And I don't know what we're going to do with, you know, concrete. There's a pure and a normal over there. We might set up a little building over here just to do concrete. Obviously, we're not going to leave it out in the yard. But I don't have a plan for it yet because there's, you know, limestone over there. There's limestone up on the hill behind all those. We'll probably just do the 2 over here because there are 2 of them clustered and get rid of all this. This is almost entirely going into the sink. The rare occasion that I need to pick up a stack of concrete, it refills. And look, we can see the building there just kind of behind the trees that we managed to, you know, save. So it's kind of nice. You know, you can see the little shine off of the windows. And it doesn't blind us with yellow like those. And yeah, we still need to work on these buildings. I wanted to do that this episode. I'm not sure that we have time. I'm going to think about what I want these buildings to look like for next episode. And I think that's when we'll tackle them, as well as probably look into getting some assemblers off the ground. You know what we can do also with a little time we got left is complete a milestone. Okay, back at the hub. And vehicular transport, you know, might not be bad if, oh, inventory slots. Yes, I'd like to have inventory slots. and basic steel, which we definitely need, and we have everything we need for that on hand. I think we're gonna unlock both of these. Let's see here. Let's go get some. Let's start this one. Then I'll run off and get some rods. It's a lot of wire. Watch the takeoff.
Milestone reached. Steel production unlocked. Foundry grants
So
access
there's
to simple steel
a
parts.
very real possibility
An
that
additional project
next
can now be constructed.
session
Progress to the next
we'll
phase
actually
is now
investigate starting up steel. If you haven't played and you don't know what it takes to do steel, for steel we need iron and coal together basically in the same place. And it's going to be a little bit of a adventure to figure out where we're going to actually build steel. Ideally we want copper, iron, and limestone, all three in the same area, because we'll need it for reinforced things, reinforced beams. Now, one of these two spots is obvious for us because we are using this already for power. We do have an iron node here that is capped off with a giant rock, so we can't access it right now. So we couldn't really do steel there anyway. But in these two areas would be where we'd want to start searching. Problem is that at least from here we're not hitting on iron or limestone in that area. It means it's probably just on the edge of our ping range. So the coal being here, there might be iron and limestone right next to them, just out of our range. So we need to do some exploration. You see there's no iron coming up, and I can tell you already if I ping for limestone, it's going to be the same result. So probably next episode we're going to look to do some exploration. I told you these are all filled up. Sorry here, yeah, we need more rotors. And get a plan for putting together our steel. Because steel is going to be a big gateway to a lot of the stuff that we can't do yet. And I mean, that is the next step. Especially now that we have, our foundational buildings finally built. Not looking pretty, but they are finally a thing that we can, put in the books and start running those materials to the things that we need them for. And that will take place once we find out where we want to build our first tier of assemblers. All right, we're gonna get the resources together and wait for the rocket to return. Well, we can get rid of these too. These are the parts for the space elevator. Obviously, we still need some ability to manufacture them in the near future, but we haven't unlocked the next step. Actually, we may have just done so with the steel. Versatile frameworks. So let's check what that takes. You cannot craft space elevator parts without a machine. You can't handcraft them. So this is going to require steel. So we don't need the machine sitting around until we have steel anyway. So that's a little more space. Here, the rocket landing, or shuttle.
Milestone reached. Long-range transportation, as well as the construction of outposts, is now encouraged. Vehicle stations have built-in functionality to refuel and restock or collect parts.
All right, that is everything for Tier 3. So we are done with Tier 3. And we won't be able to go into this stuff in Tier 4 until we have steel. Though I believe, yeah, we can do the improved melee. We'll do that probably next session as well. Give us more inventory slots. And the Xenobasher is awesome. So that would be nice to have as well. Everything else is going to require steel. Yeah. Alright, let's head back home and wrap this up. You know what, actually, we should go home in style. I mean, it's... okay, it's not stylish. It's not the Explorer, which, by the way, requires steel to build, even if we could research it now. But we do have a garage, and it's time to put a car in it. Something we can actually get there. It's a big boy. Woo. So change camera and go. Can I go first person? Nope, probably not. All right. We can make it up the ramp. Come on, baby, you can do it. Yeah, this was much easier than running here. All right, we have a car in our garage. All right, I think that is that. Ooh, look, all the space. We got the assemblers out of the way for the space elevator. We got all the energy production buildings, the biofuel ones out of the way. All the copper, everything is out of the way. Bunch of unnecessary power cables and poles are gone. This is looking so much more clean, and I like this better. We don't have that conveyor coming up and then coming back out. So I like this much better. Things are coming together. We will get to those other buildings soon. But yeah, this is gonna be it. That's it. Thank you very much for coming out. I hope you've enjoyed it. You know, if you liked it, leave a like. You know, if you haven't subscribed yet, then be sure to subscribe. You know, don't want you to miss out on these episodes. And don't forget, I do have a Twitter, and I Twitter stuff related to this. And don't forget to leave a comment if you got anything to say or just want to say hi. I'd love to hear from you. You know, feedback is very important. Thank you very much for coming out. Thank you for taking your time to watch this. Thank you for making it to the end if you're actually hearing me talk, because most people don't stick to the end, and that's not just my video, that's true in general. And it's always appreciated. Content creators really appreciate when you stick around to let us wrap up you know, the things that we've done. But I hope to see you in the next episode, and thank you.